She defended him during his first impeachment trial, which came at a difficult time. She stood by him through every problem he faced due to political rivalries. She publicly told Justice Department lawyers, "You work for Donald Trump." And on Thursday afternoon, while she was on a tour of Florida, he fired her. Pam Bondi is out as Attorney General of the United States. And the man who replaces her, Todd Blanche, Trump's own former personal defense attorney. So what really happened inside the most powerful law enforcement office in America? And what does this mean for you, for American justice, and for everything that's about to unfold? Let's break it all down. It looked very promising on paper. Trump described Bondi on Truth Social as a great American patriot and a loyal friend. Bondi herself wrote that she will hand over her office next month to Todd Blanche. Quote, "A major private sector role that I'm thrilled to have." But behind the scenes, it was anything but smooth. Multiple sources familiar with the situation told CBS News that President Donald Trump wasn't very hopeful about Bondi. She wasn't loyal, she was loyal, but because he didn't deliver what Trump most expected, results. See, Trump wanted prosecutions. He wanted high-profile indictments of people he considered political enemies. Former FBI Director James Comey, New York AG Letitia James, Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. Case after case either fell apart in court, was dismissed by federal judges, or got rejected outright by grand juries. A grand jury unanimously declined to bring the criminal charges against the 6 Democratic lawmakers. A federal judge threw out subpoenas targeting Powell. But the other thing that haunted Trump even more was television. The President Trump expected Bondi to serve as a fierce media warrior for him, who should fight on the news media. He wasn't cutting it. And in Trump's world, that's probably more than anything, like an unforgivable sin. Here's what most reports don't tell you, and it's important. Under Bondi, the Justice Department has taken steps in the right direction. According to legal experts, it was structurally knocked down. It may take decades again to rebuild it. Thousands of lawyers and FBI agents were fired, bought out, or forced into retirement. The Public Integrity Division, the team that investigated corruption in public departments, was completely shut down. White-collar crime enforcement, it took a big step back. Immigration and drug trafficking moved to the top of the priority list. The Justice Department hung a large banner with a picture of Donald Trump outside its headquarters. The employees who have served under the presidents of both parties for decades saw it as a symbol of something that had never existed before. The White House was running the Justice Department in the open. And the guardrails? The ones put in place after Watergate specifically to stop the president from weaponizing the DOJ? Quietly eroded. That's why career lawyers left. Not because they disagreed with politics, but because those walls existed for a reason, and now they were gone. Former DOJ attorney Stacey Young, who was silent, did not mince words. Bondi took a hammer to the department, and I'm explaining it here, and said it could take decades to rebuild what was destroyed in a year. Meanwhile, Bondi was fighting her own fires. The Jeffrey Epstein file saga turned into a PR disaster. She publicly promised flight records and a client list, then changed her mind and said there was no criminal record. Congress finally passed a resolution just to urge the DOJ to release the files. And when the final Epstein document release happened, it wasn't Bondi who held the press conference. It was Todd Blanche, the man who just replaced her. The writing, it seems, had been on the wall for a long time. So what happens now? Because this isn't just a cabinet shuffle. The consequences are already taking shape. First, Todd Blanche is now the acting Attorney General of the United States. 2 years ago, this is the man who sat across from the federal prosecutors defending Donald Trump in his criminal cases. Now he's overseeing the same department that those prosecutors work in. That doesn't happen often. In the history of American law, that is unprecedented. Second, there's another leading candidate to replace Blanche permanently, Zeldin, who these days heads the EPA. Here's the problem: Zeldin doesn't have nearly the same prosecutorial experience as Blanche. He worked briefly as a military lawyer, but he's never been a traditional prosecutor. Legal experts within the DOJ are already worried. An unqualified leader in a department that is already hemorrhaging experienced staff is a recipe for institutional chaos. Third, Bondi, the accusations that investigations are being conducted at a very slow pace. Efforts to prosecute former White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson and former CIA Director John Brennan are reportedly moving forward. Under Blanche, someone who some insiders say has actually been the one pumping the brakes on politically charged prosecutions, the pressure is now going to get turned up. And finally, Bondi herself is scheduled to testify before Congress on the matter on April 14th. Even outside the door, she can't escape the Epstein effect. Whatever she says under oath could reshape the entire narrative. Here's something that should concern everyone, no matter where you sit politically. The Justice Department has one job above all else: to enforce the laws of the people, not the president. That's not a partisan idea. It's why the Watergate-era rules existed in the first place. What happened under Bondi wasn't just a political change. It was a stress test of those institutions. And by many accounts, the institutions buckled badly. Now, led by Todd Blanche and as Zeldin awaits potential leadership in his future, the stress test continues. We'll be watching every development closely, and we'll break it down for you, the same way we always do, clearly, without spin, just the facts and what they actually mean. If you found this breakdown useful, share it with someone who needs to understand what's really going on. Drop a comment: what do you think comes next? And subscribe so you don't miss a single update as this story unfolds. See you in the next one.